Hi, it's Barbara again with the second part of Jared's story. If you missed the first one, it was how Jared, a 9-year-old boy from Darwin, who came with his mom to the Central Coast to have his dyslexia corrected, had actually two things to teach me. And the first thing I talked about before, how a mother doesn't know how to react to her son's frustration, anger, abuse. That it is very, very hard to not go into a power struggle. And this mom was mastering really well by introducing parenting with love and logic. But for this one, I wanted to talk about how I learned the second thing from Jared, which is how he turned from a frustrated non-reader and, well, really, really fearful reader into a very, very nice little student who could read extremely well. And it happened when he was on hunger strike. And after 1.5 days under the bed and he was refusing to come out and do anything, he finally got hungry. And he asked his mom, let me eat something. She said, absolutely, put your shoes on and we go to this coffee shop and we have a lovely meal. Well, it took another 1.5 hours for him to put the shoes on because he was still a bit in a struggle. Finally got the shoes on and we went there, and while he had this sandwich on a plate, a seagull was flying overhead and managed to put her droppings right in the middle of his sandwich. And he was upset, and I said, wow, this is the luckiest thing could ever happen to a child or to a person. Really, it's amazing. And so we had a bit of fun with that. And I finally asked him, is there anything you really like about this experience? And he said, yeah, I like making these models. I said, you know what? We don't focus on reading at all. You just make your models and tell me what they are. So he made a hospital, and it was the most amazing scene I've ever experienced. That intricate little bed in the hospital with a remote that could lift the top, the patient and explaining what was wrong with him, the doctor there with the yellow gloves, attending to him, and an alien doctor watching and learning, and a waiting room full of people, including the Earth, who was sick, and a chef who had burned his eyes, and he went on and on and on. It was like an avalanche of a story, and I thought this was amazing. And I said, Jared, do you mind if I write that down? It is a really good story. So when I typed and my laptop had 1.5 pages, I said, look at that story. You probably like it as much as I do. So he read the whole story. He made maybe 1 or 2 mistakes or didn't know a word, but the rest he had already told me beforehand. So he knew those words from, he could guess those words he didn't know. And he was so empowered by that fear of reading was actually unlocked. And he could read other people's stories. We just slowed him down and didn't let him read much, just a little bit of other people's, write his own stories. I would write them, and we would just play around. And the change in this boy was incredible. So it was the behavior, but as well as afterwards the confidence he gained from the new learned literacy. It was a new child that went back to Darwin.